simulation is still a niche market, but looking at the worldwide turnover all in all, about 16 billion US dollars, it's worth noting it. We managed to have now already 60 partners in 8 countries with about 260 simulation specialists. Once they have a customer from Simchronize, they can keep this customer and make further business with him. We can offer them external simulation department for 30K a year. And then the answer is easy.
Okay, Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Josef. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you in the office. Before we get started, we want to talk about Simchronize and kind of the engineering ecosystem, how we call it. Who's Michael in the first place? What are you doing? What are you working on right now?
Wow, yeah. I'm the managing director of Simchronize. My background is an MBA in international marketing management. And my intention, if you ask me, is to make Simchronize the #1 network for computer-aided simulation for engineering companies as well as in R&D. And the answer to all questions from the industry in view of simulation solutions, and to be an innovation driver. I'm no engineer, but more a marketeer. I've been working for more than 30 years in exports for well-known German companies and building up markets. So it's also networking, building up on the market. It's the same what I'm trying to do now, hopefully very successfully.
So, Michael, you talked about Simchronize. So what is Simchronize all about? And as you said, you're not an engineer, but you're a marketer by heart. So how did you come up with the idea of building Simchronize, and how does it help engineers in the first place?
Yeah, you're right. I'm a marketeer, as I said in the beginning when I introduced myself. But during the last 2 years, I was working within an engineering company, so I do know now all the special needs of an engineering company. I learned a lot of the engineering market and problems, solutions. So I have now a good idea of the market. Simulation is still a niche market, but looking at the worldwide turnover all in all, about 16 billion US dollars, it's worth noting it. And we started with the engineering network. The idea was to support smaller and mid-sized engineering offices, which are still living in their box, in their silo, having their core competences where they are working in, which maybe in these times not enough anymore to be really successful. So we want to enable them to widen their portfolio and handle also bigger projects for bigger companies together with the help of the other partners in the network.
That's super interesting. I'm wondering, I'm an engineer myself, and usually most engineers, not everyone, we think kind of in a small box, right? We think in our own world. So how do you convince people who are kind of in their own bubble, let's call it like that, to join Simchronize, a network where they also share knowledge amongst each other?
Yeah, you have to divide that. There are 2 parts. One they are really consulting resistant, maybe due to the fact that they still have enough orders and think, okay, we will survive the actual economical crisis. But my intention is, and I see them and I get in contact with them, there are more and more smaller and mid-sized engineering companies getting in trouble. The actual economical situation in Europe, especially in Germany, is not really wonderful. If you look only on the German car industry, and then their sub-suppliers now, they are amongst in the storm, and more, especially mid-sized companies, are getting into trouble. So they don't have the really budgets, and also the engineering companies are suffering of it. And then if you can offer to these people nice, bigger projects, I think that is the right way of thinking. Who thinks he can survive this recession by himself can get into trouble.
So how do you open their mind ultimately?
Well, talking about the markets, looking in personal. I'm a big friend of personal contacts because this is my personal opinion. In these days where everybody is doing his or tries to do his business just by phone or by Teams meetings, for me the personal factor is always a big point. And then feeling where during the discussion with a potential new partner to feel where his pain points are, and we can give some answers. We can see. You have a bigger, more things to offer with the network. You will get new friends because we are doing also personal meetings 2 times a year, which are very good for the internal communication, for the networking idea, and usually after half an hour they say yes, that's an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm. But who do you think is the perfect fit then for the Simchronize network? Do you select specific people or companies?
The perfect fit for Simchronize is anybody in the simulation business. Yeah, this is the only restriction. So CFD, FEM, FEA, everything has to do with simulation. For me, it's important as a network. We talked about it. Everybody has just his core competences. But in the network, we are getting all fields of simulations covered, so which is then good for the industry because they have just to talk to one guy or to one network to find solutions for all their problems. And the ideal case is if the new partner also thinks about high performance computing in the cloud or AI assisted systems. That's the ideal thing, but that's no restriction if he doesn't.
I see. How important do you see kind of a specific trend when we talk about, you just mentioned it, AI, right? So how do you see a trend for people becoming more interested in AI, the topic of AI in engineering?
Yes and no. Some people still don't know enough about the possibilities of AI, but if you give them samples, for example, one partner here has a big project where the machinery of the industry is not talking anymore to the user. If the machine has a change of material, it calls directly the AI, and the AI makes the new calculations, and the ready-made fit the AI sends to the tablet of the machine user, and he has just to press the right buttons. And the win-win situation is the user is not, how do you call it? You need him. You still need the user,
yeah.
So he doesn't lose his job, but he's more effective. He saves time, and mistakes are nearly not existent in programming the machine. There are no mistakes, so very small percentage of danger.
Mm-hmm. So you had two. You said it's twofold, right? One section or like one segment is interested in AI. The other one is not so much. Like, who are the ones who are not interested in AI? Is it really interest, or is it they just don't care what's happening on the side?
Yeah, these are not the people I'm targeting. These are also the people which I mentioned it before, which still have enough orders and think everything is going on.
Okay, too big to fail.
We did it the last 10 or 20 years like this, and it will survive for the next 15 years.
Yeah, so basically becoming arrogant or too arrogant, too big to fail, and then they think we already have all the knowledge. Why would we fail in the first place? Then we think about Nokia. Nokia thought about the same thing probably, and then they failed ultimately.
Well, I would never call somebody arrogant, but maybe they are a little bit too much self-confident. Let's put it so.
Okay, I would call them probably arrogant, big ego, let's say.
Yes.
People joining the network, I feel like when we talk about AI simulation, FEA, CFD, etc., they join Simchronize the network, But I feel a lot of engineers, they're very protective about their knowledge. They studied for years, they studied very hard, did their master thesis, maybe their PhD. So why would they join a network to share their knowledge? Don't they want to protect it and keep it to themselves?
This is the main thing to overcome. You're right, they are protective. We are trying to make them testing it, because they will remark if they give some knowledge in the know-how pool, they get a return of that investment by other knowledge they can gain from other partners and other specialists.
But that means also you have to be so selective about the people so that nobody comes in who only gets knowledge, but he also gives knowledge, right?
This is the reason why I'm very keen on knowing every partner myself. This is, again, we are at the personal network, not one of the big ones where you are number 3,422. We want to know all our partners. We know the name of the dog. We know how he's doing. And when I have the feeling we don't know them anymore, I will hire more staff so that we'll always be able to know them personally. And then you can make a selection, yes.
Mm-hmm. It feels like maybe it's not the best analogy, like the Apple ecosystem a little bit, because you can kind of, it's one ecosystem, Simchronize, but then you can select your partners, your apps in this case, to solve a specific problem. So do you have the case sometimes that a specific customer has a problem and then collectively as an entity, 2 or 3 or 4 partners of Simchronize solve one problem together? Did that happen before?
We are a very young network. We had 1 or 2 projects so far, but I'm quite sure there will be more next year.
But do they solve it collectively then at the end of the day?
No, they are solving it under the roof of Simchronize.
Okay, so you have to maybe explain that for the audience. So they solve, there's a problem, they can solve it, they want to solve it. So you give them the project, or how does that work?
We have in the closed area of our website, we have a marketplace where we list up the open projects, and the partners can apply for it. And we don't have any feelings for special partners. We want to be as fair as possible. If there are, for example, 3 partners to solve the same problem, I connect them all. In this case, with the industry who wants the solution, because this is part of the package. They are paying a yearly partner program fee to really network. I don't have to be anxious that they do after the first order additional orders with the same customer, and I miss my commission. And they have the promise. Once they have a customer from Simchronize, they can keep this customer and make further business with him, which is a big advantage for the single engineering office.
So you're not even taking a commission, you just help them network or expand their network, which is really cool. 2
different things. There are partners which have booked a partner program. Sometimes with new partners, I give them some months free joining in. If we are supplying them with an order, they have to pay a commission to keep the fairness to the paying partners.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, even though you're a pretty...
But after they have paid their first commission, they see that it's better for them to be a normal member.
Yeah, I see. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Even though you're a young network, like entity, Simchronize, I'm talking about, what are some of the goals or plans for the future, Michael?
As I mentioned in the beginning, we want to be the number one. We want to be the number one network for simulation. We will also later on take about our new network in R&D. We want to be the number one for the industry. The industry should stop, if they have different problems, to waste time with research in the internet. They all can come to us. So far, since we are working, we never had to reject a request from the industry. We always found the right partner within 48 hours, which I think is splendid. Yeah, we just want to become the number one, and the personal network.
Yeah.
Like a family, a little bit like a family.
Yeah, I like that within 48 hours you can find actually a partner that can solve their pain or their problem, which is crazy. It's pretty quick.
Well, we managed to have now already 60 partners in 8 countries.
That's a lot.
With about 260 simulation specialists. So we are covering already 80% of all simulation problems and more than 50 industries with the specialists we have in the network.
I see. When we talk about buying it off the shelf versus building it in-house, let's say they buy it off the shelf, which means the analogy that they come to Simchronize and they get a partner from your bookshelf, so to speak. They pick a specific book in this case, versus building the intelligence in-house. What are some of the pros and cons by tapping into your network versus building the intelligence in-house? One of it probably is the time.
That's one, but imagine if you are a mid-sized company, if you want to have your own simulation department, and even if it's only consisting of one engineer is approximately 60K a year, plus social costs, everything 20%. Then you need the software, which you're working on, between 30 and 50K. And you need the hardware where you can easily get into the 6-digit area to do really bigger simulations. And in comparison to that, we can offer the most mid-sized manufacturers. They have, during the year, very similar simulation problems. So it shrinks a little bit the width of the needed simulations, makes it easier. And we can offer them an external simulation department for 30K a year. And then the answer is easy.
Yeah, okay. You buy the intelligence, so to speak. And I think it's also not even a disadvantage. You buy the intelligence externally, so you can actually upskill your own team at the same time. So you're actually buying yourself time, money, and resources, and sweat and tears, which is really, really nice. I actually don't want to make the podcast too long, Michael, because I think we can pitch the whole day of how great Simchronize is. But I think the best way to go about this is really testing it by yourself, reaching out to Michael. We'll put all the relevant information in the description so people can check it out. Is there anything that we missed before we wrap it up, Michael? Anything important that we might not have covered?
Yeah, important for me, for example, is that since September we started an R&D network with research institutes and universities, because one of our big focuses is innovations, to find solutions for simulation problems which are not yet on the market. And therefore we are building up this R&D network, which is also a chance for partners to work on certain projects, or for the industry who comes and says, I have a problem, I didn't find any solution for it in the whole World Wide Web, and we can offer, okay, we are doing a project with you, with the Technical University of Dortmund or with the University of Zurich, and you have to pay for it, industry, but you get your solution.
Yeah.
And we are a supporter of the R&D for the universities, and it's strange because a lot of young engineering companies, they are spin-offs from universities, but they are not using them. So we do it, and with a hope to find new innovative solutions.
This is great. Thanks so much, Michael. How can people reach out to you, and how can they find Simchronize?
Well, we have a website, simchronize.net, like network. Mm-hmm. We have the normal contact email address, hello@simchronize.net. But I'm also not afraid if somebody is interested to talk personally to him, or he can contact me on michael@simchronize.net. We are on LinkedIn. We have some videos on YouTube. So we should be visible for any interested person.
Absolutely. I'll put every relevant link down in the description so people can check it out. But yeah, Michael, thanks so much. It was a really short podcast, but as I said, I think the main intention for this one is just that you kind of expose Simchronize a little bit, because I think what you guys are doing is really nice, and I think people should actually check it out. What did you forget?
one thing we should talk about, because this is a really step in the future and an innovation which is not existing so far. That is an app store. You mentioned some moments before you mentioned Apple.
Yeah.
So next year we will set up a platform with an app store for simulations. Works similar to the Apple App Store, so the owner gets his fee and the platform gets some fee. And there are downloadable solutions. This attracts on the one side engineering companies which are having own codes, but also interested industry who wants to have fast simulation services as a download. And the nice thing is with this system, something like that is not existing so far. I checked. I did some research. There are one or two platforms, but that's all only open source codes, which is not a miracle. And we have now worked for nearly 1 year for this platform to secure also for the product owners their codes with containering systems. We are only working on German servers to make everything clean and secure for the owners. So this will be, I think, a really innovation for next year.
This looks really cool. And then maybe next year we can have another podcast where we talk about this.
Yes.
Excellent. Michael, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Josef. I was happy to be here.
Yeah, likewise.